kind of reformatted week 4, so it's a little bit easier to kind of see everything together.
I think it's aesthetically pleasing.
Okay.
Great. Here comes the cat. Go.
Cat. Yeah. Daddy. Cat daddy.
Just the tail passing through the video.
Yeah, I mean, we're used to it. And I'll start. Oh, Mew indeed. That should be our new intro. Just a cat making
Mew.
Welcome to the USL show. Meow. Great. I'm glad we got that. Almost isolated sound clip. Almost. Anyway, everyone shut up.
I say she's noisy.
Whatever. It's women, I guess. I wouldn't know. Hey. Oh, shit. This is going to be terrible. I have work tomorrow. This sucks. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the USL show, sponsored by Roughneck Scarves, your home for men's and women's national team, USL, and MLS scarves, as well as custom scarves for your club or personal use. Feel free to check those guys out at roughneckscarves.com. This podcast is also produced by the Beautiful Game Network of podcasts, which we are very proud to be a part of. Check out the whole network at bgn.fm, as well as on Twitter at the BGN.FM. I am your host, Evan Villela, joined sometimes by my soccer colleagues, sometimes by my soccer acquaintances, but they're always my soccer friends. And for the next hour or so, I will be your moderator, host, or maybe even your facilitator of a discussion of, first it'll be the third week of USL action, and then a bunch of statements, basically. Yeah. I was going to say I'll be your arbitrator, but I didn't. Low-hanging fruit. It's
USL,
etc.
PR department.
Maybe. Joining me this week, the man that you just heard, in fact, is the waviest man in the St. Louis metropolitan area, the cream in your Irish coffee. It's Phil Grims. Phil, what's up? How's it going?
I'm good. I used to wonder how you got the intro right as often as you do. Everyone at home, he never does it twice or 3 times like I would have to doing this. You always get the intro right, except for that last episode. I was like, is he going to get it? You got it.
Yeah, well, it's because I wrote it down, Phil.
Well, okay. So you prepare. This is a new.
I have it all typed out.
Yeah. Well done.
What you don't hear is when I have to put it at the beginning and I don't do it live. That's when I do it 9 times because I always think I sound stupid or something.
I get that too. I get it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, but so now that we're squared and we can do some inside baseball, I do actually have it written down in front of me, especially for the nicknames because I never would remember all of these, and I have them written down for everyone that's been on the pod pretty much, which is awesome. Next, it's he's basically the best parts of Chuck Palahniuk and Elliott Smith. It's Big Kevin McCamish.
Hey, this episode is not safe for FC Cincinnati fans.
Oh boy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, well, hold on. Wait for it.
Barely.
And perhaps one of the main reasons, or at least the man with a reputation for doing this, if USL had an Equestria, he'd be a Rainbow Dash. And if you think he hates your team, well, 1, it's because he has facts to back it up, and 2, you're probably right. It's Pony.
I'm not going to make many friends today.
I mean, did you at work or anything, or are you just continuing the trend, really?
I say it more or less even. Quiet day at work. No one bothered me.
He has a giant FC Cincinnati scarf at work that he wrote over that just says, "Please don't talk to me." Anyway, guys.
Scarf for you, Pony. I want to see that.
I want to see, Kev, I know you have ins with the Portland Timbers community, which is what I'm calling them now.
Them?
Okay. Yeah, those people. I don't know where I was going with that. But instead of no pity scarf, can you just have one that says no pony and do it in FC Cincinnati colors and give it to them?
Do you know how we can do that? We can actually go to Roughneck Scarves.
We can go to roughneckscarves.com.
They make custom scarves.
They do. And you know what? They
team.
probably make the ones that Timbers Army use, no?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Can we pretend? Let's just pretend that they do. And if they don't, then we're going to have a talk with whoever's the president of Timbers Army.
Yeah, we can work that out.
Anyway, dear Lord, we're already getting off track. This is going to go terribly. Guys, there were some games that happened last week before we get into the fun times at the second half of the show. So let's run those down. If you guys don't know, or if you weren't aware, or if you're new to the podcast, as you might be after our amazing statement we released this afternoon via the Twitter, We were tasked by the league to put our no money where our mouths are and do the USL Pick'ems for the media this week. And I will have you all know that we finished top level with Mike Watts, who, might I add, changed some of his picks when he was on the show to when the graphic hit. So I'm calling some BS on that one. Anyway,
I think when you talked to us on that one episode, he's like, "Yeah, these guys actually know what they're talking about. I should probably change some of my stuff."
I would like to think that's what he thought, but I don't know about that.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Like it's a form of insider trading, just somehow.
Ooh, yeah, Martha, we're gonna put him in jail, and then he's gonna come out with fabrics and things available at Target. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I wonder how his interior design game is. Mike, let us know.
I was like, we didn't do good though. We were 6-11.
Yeah,
But that's still good for first place.
I mean, you can only beat who's in front of you. You know, it's one of those. We did.
That's why you listen to us.
Yes. So what we're gonna do? We're just gonna kind of go down the list, I suppose, and if anyone has any words, we can have those words. RGV and Reno did not play. We had them picking as a draw, so we were actually right because they did draw, but it was 0-0 and it didn't happen yet. So we're good. So we can't talk about that one. So moving on. Oklahoma City and Orange County in that really weird timed game on. Well, no, that was the night game on Wednesday, so that's fine. Yeah. But Oklahoma City lost that game, and we had them winning. So Orange County won 1-0. A good result for them. I think they had a better one at the end of the week, but
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, it was a very good road trip through the Oklahoma State for Orange County.
Yeah, and I would say this one was probably more meaningful in results and what we can take from its results. So, but it looks like OC's good. Pony's probably got more to say about that in the other game, but man, they're scoring goals now and winning games. So maybe this is a thing that can continue for them. I wasn't seeing it this soon.
And then moving on from there, we had Seattle Sounders 2 playing Fresno. Fresno got the dub in what hopes to be them turning their kind of misfortune around. 1-0 result for them. Yeah, I mean, we got that pick right, so that's good.
Yep.
Again, we know what we're talking about. It's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, New York beat Charleston to the surprise of nobody. Well, I mean, I guess the surprise is that they won 5-2, and Pony, I think you have some words about their new and kind of angry striker.
Yeah, well, that's Charleston. New York is they're so confusing. They probably have one of the best offenses and worst defenses in the league right now, which is going to be it. They're a fun team to watch because it could be a 5-2 game every week with them ending up on either side of it. But
it's true.
Starting with my not making friends, the ex-Tulsa Strikers, Vantenson, I can't pronounce his name, Savanson. There's a lot of vowels and very few consonants, or a lot of consonants.
I always
go something like that.
Yeah, do that.
It looks like a misspelled word. But, I mean, he was bothering me in this game. I mean, granted, he was getting a lot of his shots blocked. He wasn't getting too many good opportunities. But in the second half, he seemed to kind of go off the rails. There was a point where he got beat when he was trying to go in for a goal and just flat out two-handed shoved a New York defender afterwards. He ended up getting a card for argument. So I guess the ref didn't see him just push someone over for no apparent reason. But later on in the game, he actually had another good drive to goal, lost a one-on-one versus the keeper. And he got upset, walked away kind of the edge of the touchline back to the keeper, kind of like yelling on himself while the play was still going. The keeper dropped the ball out to about the top of the 18-yard box, and Ian is sitting there not even paying attention to what's going on. And if he was involved in the play, he might have been able to get be there for a goal and a nice assist for a tap-in. But Charleston's having some offensive problems, but you can't have him carry the team, which you're trying to almost have him do at this point. And if he is going to take that role, he has to be a little more level-headed and not let bad luck and bad breaks get to him, or Charleston's going to have a very, very long year.
Yeah.
I'd say especially as a striker because, you know, you're not going to get a lot of chances. And if you ruin any of them, that's just going to hurt your stats at the end of the year on top of that. It means less money in the long run, typically.
Sure. Well, and, you know, for being a striker, especially early in a season with a new club and a new conference, you know, you're seeing a lot of new teams who have tape on you, but they don't know how you play in person. So that could be a little bit of an advantage. But, you know, just to get in a rhythm where you score goals or get good chances or don't let that bother you because it's only, you know, 3 weeks in, especially for a team that's built for a target forward, it's not promising. And I know you got smacked by Red Bull, so I don't know if it was part of him just kind of resigning himself to the defeat or what, but yeah, that's not a great look for the Battery. Speaking of not great looks, Bethlehem lose to Nashville 1-0. Now, this wasn't a penalty. That being said, well, I have two things. So one, about the officiating. If you're going to call that a penalty, which is you're right, and that's fine. If you think it was, go for it. Maybe not a red card. Or if it's not a penalty, you know, red card. Because if you're going to be wrong, don't be that wrong.
Well, wait. So now what happened? Like there was a red card and a penalty?
Yeah. So what happened?
Changed that rule.
No. So and to be fair, this was the official, and I won't say his name for well, because it won't matter because he probably isn't going to get a job in the center again after this because this was his first center refereeing job. And I get that USL's purpose in Smart, in a very small part, is to develop referees, but I don't think giving center refereeing jobs to guys, you know, for their first game in the middle should happen in the second division of American soccer. But that's just me.
Could be something how desperate they are too. Hint, hint.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, you know, and it's not an enviable job because then you have people like us come on podcasts and talk about these guys, you know? So, but that being said, what happened, I think Michael Cox, actually, former Orlando City boy, got in behind Steele's backline, and Brandon Aubrey brought him down about a yard or two outside of the box. In the second minute, like 2.5 minutes in, referee takes about 2.5 minutes to decide whether or not it's a penalty and if it's a red card, decides that it's both. Cox converts the penalty, which is Nashville's first goal ever, which is a dead ball, so that's not super great. But then for the remaining 85 minutes, Steele, a man down, looked almost to be the better team. Now, granted, Nashville couldn't finish for anything. You know, Michael Cox got a bunch of good chances. You had where Papa Mensah came on in the second half and had a couple good looks on goal. You know, some of their midfielders got up and had good shots. And, you know, Jake McGuire, to his credit, made a bunch of good saves. But on top of that, the Steel back line of basically just Prosper Chalua and Matt Mahoney, who were guys who were about my height at like 5'9" or 5'10" or 5'11", and not terribly strong, played the offside trap like perfectly and caught Nashville offsides like 5 or 6 times in the second half, which I think is inexcusable because you only have to look for 2 or 3 guys and stay in front of them. And even then, you're telling me that Michael Cox and some of those other guys can't outmuscle some wingbacks, then I don't know what you're doing. So not great officiating on that one call, and then it was a very physical game from there, and Nashville grounded out their win. But at the same time, I think Nashville's got to be really concerned about their lack of being able to finish, especially a man up for 85 minutes.
So I'm confused, and maybe because for 2 reasons. One, I know that it's different. I know it's different in MLS, and with how like USL and MLS, their agreement works and stuff, USL is really trying to be as much like MLS as possible. So
yes,
at least in MLS, I thought maybe it was like an actual FIFA rule change, but I don't know if that's the case. But at least in MLS, when a foul in the box occurs, it's no longer a red card. Even if it's
double jeopardy kind of rule.
Exactly. Even if it's a denial of a goal scoring opportunity, it's still going to be a yellow because you don't need to double punish someone, so they get the penalty. Now, if it's anything outside the box, that's going to be a red card, but not a penalty. Right. So why that ref would give both confuses and concerns me.
Right. And so the nice thing, and of course it has to happen today when we're recording, but there was disciplinary. Phil, you did a good bit of reporting and figured out that they have disciplinary meetings every other week on Tuesdays, I suppose. And that's for reviews, and I'm sure that's when individual clubs can appeal, I would imagine.
I imagine that's when USL says what perhaps everyone has been, they collect all the complaints and maybe talk about the ones.
So I would imagine Bethlehem has appealed that red card. And whether or not they win, I'm sure we'll find out tomorrow or later this week, or actually I'll even shoot a text off to the club tomorrow and see if I can't shore that up. But yeah, and honestly, they played good soccer for 85 minutes, and I think this weekend they can be a little. It might be good for them that they had that scrappy play and things like that. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, honestly, the bigger story, which is crazy, and I know it's going to sound like I'm deflecting, but Nashville just couldn't find the net for anything. It was bizarre.
Yeah,
that's been happening, right?
Right, but they haven't been a man up for 85 minutes before. If there's a game where you're going to get off the stride and get some goals in, that should have been a 4-0 victory.
Yeah, Nashville is probably a top 3 or 4 defense in the East and bottom 3 or 4 offense. Like I said it's like bizarro New York Red Bulls.
Yeah,
where they can't score and they're really hard to score on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you were talking about Red Bull. It seems like perhaps they're the opposite of Red Bull.
Yeah, for sure.
Which would you rather watch?
I'd rather watch Red Bull.
There you go.
Well, yeah, goals are fun.
Like 0-0 draws.
Nashville are a little chippy, and honestly, I hope Liba Maloto's all right because his face hit the dasher. That looked not fun. Anyway, Salt Lake City, Real Monarchs, SLC played the Portland Timbers 2, and they won 4-2. Kev, thoughts?
The home side absolutely deserved to win. They were down 2-0 within 7 minutes, and I'm not even sure when the ball first crossed the halfway line. It could have been the 10th or 12th minute before it ever went to the other side of the field. In the first 10 minutes, it was literally like Salt Lake City were just dancing around the Timbers net. They literally just came out absolutely asleep. And then a little bit later on the first half, Salt Lake City went up 3-0. T2 actually came back. After that, I think they finally woke up and decided, hey, we're on a soccer pitch. We have a ball. Maybe we should play some soccer. Yeah. Might be a good idea. And so from that point on, I think they actually played pretty level with the Monarchs. They got themselves 2 goals back in it. They only gave up 1. So, obviously I want to see, the T2 team that played the last 60 some odd minutes of that match as opposed to the team that played the first 30. But it was absolutely deserved win by a team that I'm pegging is easily top 2 in the West. So,
yeah.
Yeah, Monarchs kind of look like a team where for half an hour through the game at some random point, they will look like the best team in the league, bar none, and probably score 2 or 3 goals on you in that half hour. And for the rest of it, they just look okay. They kind of flow in and out. We saw this even first week with Tulsa, where they were down 2-1 in the 80th minute, and they scored 2 goals in the last 5 minutes to win the game. It's just they can't play at that high of level for the entire game. When they hit that gear, they're not going. No one could touch them. They just look so much better than anybody else we've seen.
That's true. That's almost exactly what happened. They came out firing for 30 minutes, and then the rest of it, T2, put up a fight.
I felt that way when Louisville played, I want to say Nashville. I kind of felt that way about Louisville where, I was like, man, are they going to win this game? And then right at the end, they just took off and got the 2 goals. They're kind of unstoppable at that point. I feel like that's a true sign of a really quality team where they just kind of wear you down, look for their opportunities, and eventually they're going to find them. And a lot of times that seems to happen late in the games. Unless it's totally tilted as far as competition. But
yeah, I think if you combine the 2 weeks, Real Monarchs scored 4 goals in about a span of 10 minutes, or for the Tulsa plus Portland game.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Next match. This was not what anyone was expecting. Literally, I think all of us. Well, Kev, myself, and Phil had this as a draw. Pony had Orange County winning, which they did, but by 5-0. And this is a little slanty time here again because Tulsa was shorthanded, but Orange County looked great. Not great homophobic slurs against Robbie Rogers, scored a couple goals and wears their armband, but that's it's neither here nor there.
So I talked to Raj because we're both pretty used to having losing team records, with the team that we follow and cover. And so we were kind of crying on each other's shoulders a little bit. I know things are going better for St. Louis this year, but you just never know. And they're having a rough year, and some things are just going wrong, and it's not looking good. It doesn't look like they've done what they did the previous.
Watch this game.
Go ahead.
I actually watched this game and or most of it actually, and saw the 2 red cards that Tulsa drew. And I mean OC, they did look good, but some of the stuff was a little bit confusing. And I actually was on Tornado Alley last night talking to Roger about previewing T2 as they face Tulsa tomorrow and stuff like that. And we talked about the game, and I mean it was the officiating. As from a neutral standpoint, I would say was a little bit bizarre. The red cards. I mean, the first one where the player came through 2-footed studs up. I mean, by textbook definition, that's a red card, so that one's okay. Yep. And he got the ball, but he followed through, with a lot of force, and
it's the reckless and endangerment kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if he had not followed through or had gone in as hard as he had, it could have been just a yellow. But I mean, he went in hard, 2-foot studs up, got the ball, but then clipped the player, and I think that was enough for a red. But the second one, I mean, the announcers didn't know what was going on. I'm watching it, and all of a sudden, the ref just kind of runs and just throws up a red card, and wait, what? Who got a card? Who got a card, and why they get a card? What in the world's going on? But I mean, I think Tulsa was down 3-0 at that point, so it's not like it's going to really affect the result.
Yeah.
Sure.
But still, it was a little strange. And I mean, as I was watching that game, I was like, I feel good now about T2 going into Tulsa. I mean, if T2 does not fall asleep for any amount of time, if they stay focused for 90 minutes, I think my team can get 3 points when they go visit. So, but the thing is, I think in that match, I think Roger had said that they had a left back substituting as a striker because they didn't have anyone to attack. They didn't have any attackers, and he was one of the guys that got a red card. So I don't know if Tulsa's going to be getting any goals this weekend.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at, is that they just haven't gotten the players that they did last year. They did so good a job last year, and this year seems like a bit of a disaster, kind of like 2 or 3 years ago. Tulsa looked like a bit of a disaster. So, but he did mention when we talked that after, I think it's this next game against Portland, I think there's a long break until mid-April or something like that, or late April. And so I'm hoping perhaps they can reset, take the time to reset everything, start over and get things in order, because they're looking like the worst team in the West right now.
Yeah.
And the fans are getting impatient, you could say, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not to take away, Orange County's good. I mean, they could legitimately be the number 4 team in the West right now, I think. It's one of those that say, there's no way the number 4. Then start thinking, well, who are they actually... who's better than them?
I'm okay with that.
If they can actually start scoring, I mean, this is the first time they actually capitalized on all their chances very, very well. Granted, they were up 2-0, then the first red card happened, so things got out of hand quickly after that. But if Orange County could finish like they did over the weekend, I see no problem with saying they're the number 4 team in the West right now, because they get their chances and their defense is not bad either.
Works for me.
No, they're not. No, and you said that online. I was like, come on, pump your brakes, buddy. And then you were like, well, who's in front of them? And I was like, I threw a couple out there, but honestly, none of them look as good as OC, especially if OC can keep scoring. That's what it hinges on.
Right.
Next game in what I'm now going to start calling the what happened was game of the week. Richmond beat North Carolina without Dane Kelly, who now apparently plays for DC United again because the timeline that we're in merged with the one that we're not in, where Dane Kelly becomes an MLS superstar.
Thank you.
And now all is right with the world, and I'm sure Lee Cowshaw is confused. Now, the good news is they won, and all of our picks of Nashville North Carolina just destroying Richmond are null and void.
We didn't get anything right.
Did Mike call this? I feel like he called Richmond. No, he didn't.
No, he's not. No, because I asked him if he was that dumb, and he
was like, no way.
Yeah. So, anyway, congratulations, Richmond, on the win.
I can't remember.
City Stadium is a fortress, or has been. So the fact that it's back to that is a little troubling for the rest of the East. But good for that club, good for that community.
I can't remember if you said you guys gave me this game as what was supposed to be punishment. I listened and I forgot what game it was. I assumed it was
that. Sounds right. It might have been the Penn and Pittsburgh one.
Oh, it was.
No, it was this game.
Oh, was it? All right. Okay. Cool.
So this is what I watched actually, and I got
good.
so lucky that you guys did this to me because I really sincerely enjoyed this game. Again, I do like NC. I like watching North Carolina. I still enjoy their soccer, even though they didn't score any goals. But it's good stuff. Honestly, I think they're kind of like OC, where if they can figure out goal scoring, they're going to go really far.
Yeah.
But if they don't, they're going to kind of be a middling team. But the other thing was Richmond. I've watched part of 1 or 2 Richmond games so far this season. I think they flipped a switch this week where they kind of figured out their MO, and I hope. Yeah, even if it only happens at home,
sure.
What they did in that game made me have a little bit of faith in them. Like maybe put them above Charleston for me, just because they seem to have figured themselves out. Not only did they defend well against North Carolina, better than any game in the past, which perhaps the late loanees had something to do with that, which we've talked about. But they also had the better chances throughout the game. And it was through defending well and counterattacking and taking advantage of their counterattacks. So if they continue to do that all year, they're not going to be anywhere near as bad as we all perhaps were starting to think they would be. And after the game, I said, if they had Dane Kelly, if they get Dane Kelly going finally, which I don't know where he is, maybe they can do even better. But there he was playing for DC United, someone told me. So
yeah. Phil, keep talking. Tell me about you guys playing Colorado Springs. How was that? You picked up the 1-0 victory, which I'm sure was helpful.
You know what's funny about this is I would say the first game, St. Louis looked not great, but they pulled out a draw away against RGV. Second game, I thought they looked like the good team that was playing colleges and tier 4 teams in preseason. I thought they looked exactly like that team, attacked similarly, looked almost as dangerous against a team that could defend better than college in tier 4 in San Antonio, but they lost. This game they won and were somewhere in between those 2 games, like kind of mediocre, still figuring themselves out, I think, and hope, if I may say so, because I do think they improved in some areas, but they're not dangerous enough yet. They're not they're not getting enough chances in the right spots. The attacking down the wings thing seemed to be less important, which is nice because I do want to see some balls down the middle, and Lewis Hilton is doing his best to try to get some balls in behind here and there, but it's not happening very often. And we were able to capitalize on a long ball, which there were a crap ton of long balls in this game, which surprised me because St. Louis is at home. I thought they'd attack the way they normally did, and they went with the long ball, and it paid off. The Colorado goalkeeper came out. I forgot his name. I'm sorry, but he came out a little bit. It was like a weird ball where he didn't know whether to come out, and he ended up deciding kind of late to come out. Didn't quite get there and started to run back at goal, and by then the ball was going over his head and into the goal with a nice long chip from Greg. So good job for him. Good job for Lewis Hilton on the long ball there. But that's not how we want to see a win at home, a 1-0 win at home. If you want to do well in the West. So perhaps they'll peak later and look better later in the season, but they're not there yet for sure.
This was
go for it, Kev.
I was gonna say this was my only perfect prediction for this week.
Yay, good man.
Yeah.
For sake of brevity, I will lump these two games together because nothing happened to either of them. Los Dos and San Antonio draw 0-0. And then the Keystone Cup, which I'm kind of refusing to acknowledge is a complete trophy, ended with a 0-0 draw. Two things. One, God bless whoever has to put these highlight reels together. Probably on an internship, so free sandwich for them today. But and other than that, oh my God, Pittsburgh needs to learn how to score goals. Also, Tommy Heinemann played for Penn FC, and that'll be fun in a minute. So really three things. But yeah, anyone with thoughts about either of these two games?
Nope.
Great.
Pittsburgh, I think, can be good. They had by far the better chances. If they could actually start finishing chances, it'll be a good team because no one's going to score on them because volleyball, and he brought over some good defenders. And San Antonio is hurt. They're not doing good right now, but they are very, very hurt. I think they're down 4 starters.
Mm-hmm.
They should still be beating LA, but I'd like to see what they start looking like once they get healthy.
And
hopefully they haven't dug themselves too big of a hole.
Yeah, and they have a new center back pairing, I think. So, they're known for their defense, but they have some new guys in there. So just watch them. I do think they're going to improve as the year goes on.
Yeah, LA also is going to be a good, sneaky team to get a few really bizarre draws. Their defense isn't bad.
Word of the week.
Sneaky. But their defense isn't a complete dumpster fire. I could see them stealing a couple of 0-0, 1-1 draws here and there against people who everyone says are going to go and just destroy them.
Sure.
Are we talking about the Indy game right now too?
We have Charlotte and Atlanta, but after that, we are certainly talking about the Indy. Oh, I mean, yeah, because since he won that, so we have to.
Yeah, we got to
make him happy.
Does anybody have anything on Charlotte and Atlanta other than I'm kind of surprised to see that one end in a draw. I thought I thought Atlanta was going to come out on top, but no one did.
You know what irritates me about that is I believe this was a game where we didn't have a majority pick, and I had to switch. I can't remember. I actually never mind. I thought I picked a draw, but I think I swapped from Atlanta to Charlotte just to make sure we picked a team.
Yeah. I was on the draw in the middle.
That's right. All right, never mind then. I thought I was draw 2-2, and then that's the actual result, and I picked it. Blah. Yeah, never mind.
We screwed you over.
But yeah, both teams I think could be. Charlotte and Atlanta could both be interesting teams this season.
Yeah,
they're both looking better than I think most of us thought they were going to be.
Yeah, I think we all seem to think they were going to be a mid-table team that could improve, perhaps, especially Atlanta. But right now, we still haven't seen enough games from either team to know, are they legit? Are they going to be a top 6 team or better? Because they both have that potential without a doubt.
I think Atlanta's a little bit better.
Yeah,
they took down New York already. Charlotte's taking care of 2 probably out of playoff teams without much of an issue. But I think Atlanta looked a little bit better, the 2 in the game. And overall, I think they have both are going to be near each other on the table unless something really switches, though.
Yeah,
it might be like the difference between 6th and 7th type situation.
Yep. Next game, Indy and Cincy. Cincinnati gets the win, but that's not really the story coming out of this one. We had a bunch of people reach out to us either in DMs or just kind of hanging out on Twitter, where, by the way, welcome all the new guys. Hello. It's nice to have you. And also, thank you for being super kind to each other. I didn't see anything today where I went, wow, you're an asshole. So thank you.
Agree.
Because that can be, especially in a world where the biggest component of pro rel in the United States of America believes in chemtrails and stuff, that can be a very easy thing to do. See what I did there? That was good. Do as I say, not as I do. But yeah, the big talking point out of this game was, I think it was Jack McInerney, right?
I don't remember.
Was it Kev? Do you know?
McInerney plays for 11.
Yeah, that's why it's a talking point.
Yeah. Oh, right, because he plays there. No, the talking point is that there was a rugby tackle in a soccer match that warranted no foul at all, which is neat. It's the new world we live in, I guess. And we had a bunch of people reach out that either knew referees or people that think they are referees in some cases, or even just people that know people. And It's clearly a dirty play. Now, obviously, there was a two-handed push in the back about a minute before, so it was in retaliation for that. I guess what I'll do is I'll just ask you, starting with somebody, Pony, I guess, because you already don't have friends out in Cincinnati. Is that a red card for you?
Yes and no. It's fun for me. If someone showed a red card on that, I wouldn't have a problem. Okay. I think it being that early in the game is a major reason why it wasn't a red card, even though it should have been something. Like, it shouldn't have been nothing. Yeah. But if it's in like the first 10 minutes, I could see that of sneaking away with a yellow.
Pony sneaky counter up at 3. Phil, red card?
No, not a red card. And I was the one that kind of came out early, and too early, honestly, saying, let's not destroy. USL's been a physical league for a long time, and I love that. I really do. So that's not a red. I'm 100% in on it not being a red. But it's also, like Pony said, it's not a non-call. I mean, It was early. It was somewhat retaliatory, but you got to rein that in for sure. And perhaps he did later in the game. I didn't actually watch the game. But I did get a lot of feedback from everyone. And, I would definitely say it's somewhere, between a red and a no call, which it was neither in this game, or it was a no call rather.
You know what the difference, the middle ground between a no call and a red card is? It's called a yellow card.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But I guess my big point was I don't want to lose the physicality. So if he had to err on nothing, I almost feel like that's better than a red card. Here's the problem is that from what I heard, I don't know if this is 100% true. The dude cracked his skull open, or he had he
was unconscious
on the ground. Yeah. He was unconscious. Okay. So obviously at that point, if I was a ref, I'd be apologizing to the teams afterward and saying, I missed that. And I really screwed up, especially because someone got hurt and, he messed up. And I think I would own up to that and feel really bad, because the whole point of a penalty is that exact thing. If someone gets hurt, that's all we're trying to avoid here. It's a fun, good gamemanship sport to be physical here and there. But if someone gets that hurt, it's unacceptable. So
United Soccer Leagues, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
There you go. Suck it up, boys.
Kev, red card, not red card.
I didn't see it, so I don't really know. But if I'm the ref, if it's early in the game and the player, it's not like, because I was about to say, yellow card's fine. But as Phil said, if the player's unconscious, I'd be like, I'm going to give you another yellow card, maybe just for dissent. I don't know. But somehow I got to send you off because that's bad. Or at the very least, just own up to the mistake. I mean, be human. Or, human is, you're being human, that's fine, but just go to the teams and be like, hey, I'm human, I made a mistake, let me own up to it, apologize, and just be a big person about it, not be like, I'm a ref, leave me alone.
And I think go ahead, Evan, sorry.
So like, I'm okay with that not being an automatic red card, because it's an objective thing, it's an opinion, it happens, right? Like, that's not, human error is natural. We're not supposed to get everything perfect 100% of the time. That being said, if you knock a guy out, or if you involve yourself in a play, and it's not like they both went up for a header and went head to head, or one of those incidental kind of contacts things, in my opinion, if you're making that aggressive of a move towards one guy, I'm going to suspend you for one game after the fact.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the discipline report tomorrow.
Yeah, no, that's and that'll be interesting to see when that comes out. But that's where I'm going with that. Is I don't really care at this point what the referee did or didn't do, even though I think that was at least a yellow, if not a red, just because of the force of that, and that it was retaliatory. I don't like that. I get it. The guy shoved you in the back, but I mean, if you're gonna start throwing hockey checks or rugby hits at guys every time they shove you, then every corner is going to become a demolition derby. But at the same time, what you did is potentially impacting someone's ability to make money for the rest of this season,
or be a normal human being for that.
Right. Right. And, at the worst case scenario, if you, injure that guy for a long time, they're not going to have a job. They're not going to be able to, God forbid you break his neck, he can't walk again, and because of that, I think you sit at home for a week and think about what you did and come back a little bit less edgy.
I think that's perfect. And I do think this is a learning thing. Like we talked about new center refs, their first game in second division. We don't want that per se, but this guy is learning to go on to better things. You know, we have American refs that are going to the World Cup. So we want this guy to have that opportunity perhaps 5-10 years from now. And perhaps he can look back on this as a learning opportunity. And that's what I want to make clear to people who are going off on this guy and saying, you know, pro, you know, talk to pro, USL needs to do this, that, and that, the pro. Listen, the conversation, the biweekly conversations aren't just to rip them a new one. It's to say, hey, this is what we value, player safety. This might be something you can do better with next week. And we all move on from there.
That, and I know, I think JS By on Twitter, who's a friend of the show, wanted us to mention, and I will, the league, any league, doesn't get to pick who their officials are week in and week out, and I think that's important. Because, and honestly, it's not you know, feasible for both USL and MLS to be like, all right, well, we want Jair Marufo every week, and we want, you know, Ted Uncle every week. Well, which you probably wouldn't, but you know, the USL doesn't get to pick who's given to them. That's how that works. And so
be crying uncle.
Hey, you know, so I think that's an important decision to make too. It's not up to Jake Edwards or you know, the GMs of the league or the technical directors or the players or the coaches to pick their referee. You know, those are given out by pro or by USSF, and you know, it's kind of what you're dealing with. So sure, you know, be upset at the referees or lament that, you know, we're not where we need to be with officials, but don't be mad at the league, please. And also, I would like to tell everyone to keep in mind that all of these professional accounts have people that are paid to run them that don't also have really any influence over the day-to-day operations of the things that they represent. So please at least try to be kind to them.
It's true.
Right. I think
I've bitched at companies on Twitter, you know, just as well, but let's calm down a little bit and then think about our tweets before we send them. Also, don't just send emails to MLS.com. That won't work.
Right. I think one other thing to consider, to me at least, is I don't think this was malicious trying to hurt somebody. I think this was supposed to be a, hey, I'm here. I'm probably going to get a yellow card for a shoulder-to-shoulder hit. But Walker happened to turn upfield about half a step before the guy got there.
Yeah,
so
that's a long way to run for a shoulder-to-shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was trying to hurt him. I think he was trying to say, like, I'm going to get yellow card in retaliation. You're going to know I'm here. But this wasn't a Romeo Parks situation.
No.
If you watched the league for a few years,
finish off
you know
goals
exactly
like
what it is, what I'm talking about.
Because
that was, Romeo Parks was the epitome of, I am trying to hurt my opponent in this move. It wasn't a, well, maybe, no, this to me, what happened in the Indy Cincinnati game was a very dumb decision, a very excessive force decision, but I don't think he was actually trying to hurt somebody. Yeah. And that's a major difference to me.
Agree.
Yeah. Romeo Parks should not be playing league football.
I agree.
But here we are. And I don't really care to say enough or anything else on that one. So we'll move on. Reno and Phoenix rise and get a 1-0 victory. Guys, they look good.
Yeah.
Especially to get a win against Reno. That's pretty all right.
Well, it was stoppage time penalty kick, but
that's fair.
Still, Reno didn't look bad in this game. They just weren't able to. Phoenix got the last minute. They got I mean, it wasn't a bad PK. It was a legitimate call from what I saw. But they get away with the win, and Reno's struggling out the gate still a little bit, which is, I don't think anyone saw him with 1 point after 3 games.
Yeah. Louisville win at home in what will probably be a preview of your Eastern Conference final, or should be 1-0.
Yep.
It's hard. It's honestly, it's hard to go into either of those stadiums and pick up wins, Al Lang or Slugger. So it's kind of a shame that they don't do reverse fixtures for the playoffs in USL, because that would be a really fun one. But Louisville gets an important win, and they'll be riding momentum in that one in the next week for sure.
Look for that interview with Bourgeois for Nashville, talking about the field. Carson Merck posted that for us, and the field's in bad shape. They're trying to cover up with a Band-Aid, and it's bad. So
Carson's been killing it recently with player interviews. He got Bourgeois. He had Hugh Roberts, who was a super cool dude and started his own podcast coming up, which will be interesting. So yeah, good interviews coming out of our boy Carson over there. Love you. Toronto, the Battle of Ontario, did not happen. So we'll move on.
is that one per week so far? Well,
it was 2 this week, so I don't care if it's been 1 per week, but it evens out to be 1 per week. Yeah, so we're good. We're doing it great.
Yeah.
RGV versus Sacramento. It was a draw 2-2. Pony.
Yeah, RGV looks pretty good this season. They're not remotely as bad as they were last year. I don't think they're as good as they were in their first season where they made a huge run in the West. But they could score, they could play defense. This game was a little bit weird due to some questionable penalty kicks. I know RGV got one of their goals on a kick where it probably wasn't a penalty. It was a pretty run-of-the-mill shoulder-to-shoulder challenge, and the guy just went down in the box and managed to draw the penalty, and they converted. Then Sacramento, I guess, somewhat retaliated with a dive in the box, which got called a penalty but got saved. RGV went up 2 goals pretty late, but Sacramento drew a goal back around the 80th minute and got a point on a almost stoppage time level own goal. So I think Sacramento's been lucky at this point. Their defense is not as solid as it's been in the last few years. They're still getting stuff together. But when your entire back four and your keeper is 4 players who are new to the team, plus 1 guy who was a midfielder last year, that's not really the worst thing in the world. But RGV, you really can't look past these guys at this point. They've played only 2 games, but they're 2 very good draws. I wouldn't at all be surprised to see them hanging around the low end of the playoff table at the end of the season, and probably taking a few games that people go, wait, why did RGV just beat this team who was supposed to be good 2-1 and things like that?
Mm-hmm.
Completely agree. I think they defend especially well watching them in week 1. So I agree with you 100%. I think they could steal a lot of games that people are underestimating them in.
Right.
Next game. Sorry, go for it.
No, I was saying buy in early because I don't think they're going to be underestimated for too long.
Yeah, you might be right.
You're going to go on a hot streak here and get a couple wins, and everyone's go, oh, RGV's great.
RGV is the Spotify IPO of USL this year.
There you go.
That's a joke for 2 people,
Someone.
probably. Kyle, let me know if you got that one. I know you're out there. You might have got that. Anyway, Fresno did it again, guys. I'm back in on Fresno. I don't know if it's a Fox thing because I like those, or if it's just a desire to see them do well because their color scheme or that they're called the Zorros, which I know is Spanish for foxes, but I just think of the movie about the guy with the sword.
There you go.
Did it? Well, it's all right. Antonio Banderas, right?
Depends on which one, right?
No, that's fair. The one that I want it to be is Antonio Banderas. Yeah. Okay, great. But they won again. They beat Oklahoma City, who I just realized I'm still not going to make any friends with after that rant. But it's all good.
And I don't know. After this many games, I'm starting to think we might be right about them. It is still early, and I forgot Angulo's out. So no one forget that Angulo's been out. They don't have a true number 9 per se.
True.
And that's something they talked about on their podcast. So go listen to Off Pitch. Maybe they're right. Maybe we're right. We'll see what happens.
We'll find out. Come into the year, we'll have a good laugh about it, I'm sure.
Hope so.
And then and the final game of the week. Sorry, Paul,
also with the Fresno, we have Fresno Oklahoma City. If you missed it, Kaffa, who is basically the guy I talk more than anyone else in the entire league, had an absolutely beautiful free kick goal. It's one of those where if you have a ball 25, 30 yards out, I can't think of anyone else in the league I'd rather have behind it than him. It's one of those put it perfect top corner, keeper had no chance, and that was it's on the goal of the week voting on this for this week. It was, and he'll have 2 more of those this season.
Pony, do you know who's behind us, this podcast, as the ball that wants to be struck into the net of good merchandise and apparel?
I don't know.
I know.
Phil, it's my good friend DK and the lovely people at Soccer Loco.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Who will now forever be known as the people that want to hit me into the net of cool apparel and gear. Now, how you're going to get to their website, which is lovely, is by going to our website, uslshow.com, and there'll be a box that'll say Soccer Loco. You click on that, it'll take you through anything you buy on there. One, you get it, which is sweet. Have you seen the Poland kits this year? They're fire. I don't like Germany's ones because it just makes them look like Mexico. Anyway.
I noticed that too, actually.
Yeah, it was really weird. I was like, they're playing Mexico and they look like they are Mexico. That'll be difficult. Anyway. But then, like cleats and soccer balls and things like that, if you want to pretend to learn how to kick a soccer ball like I did earlier in the week and completely knacker my ankle, go for it. USLshow.com, click on the Soccer Local link. Also, there's a Patreon. I'm not saying that you have to support yourself or support us financially through there, but if you do, like our recent good friends, Goose actually dropped us $1, and then Harry from San Antonio, or Austin rather, is back on. So welcome back, or welcome for the first time, guys. I love all of you who are supporting us. But if you want to do that, feel free, check us out, patreon.com/the USL Show. Anyway, I should have done that after this next match, but I couldn't resist making a comparison to us being a soccer ball and DK taking a free kick. Anyway, Las Vegas beat Swope Park Rangers, which is weird and awkward, and I don't know how I feel about it. They made a llama joke after the game too, which I didn't get. But
you were the only one that actually picked Vegas to win.
That's
by the score that they won. So I don't know what I'm doing, but you're welcome, Las Vegas.
I just think that Vegas at home might be a difficult team to play.
I think that's what it is. I think they get everyone in like a rear window Vertigo, The Shining kind of vibe, and they just kind of throw you off and score and win, and then you leave.
It's because, like I said before, it's insanity, it's chaos there, and they take advantage of that. And then when the summer comes, like, I don't care if they're playing at 10 o'clock at night, it's going to be hot as hell, and they'll have advantage that way.
Well, no, hell is in Michigan, so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a Helmish. Anyway, sorry.
To me, Vegas is good at exactly two things. The first is finishing their chances. Okay, three things. Llamas.
Yeah.
One of them is
llama ding dong.
Yeah.
They could finish chances. They have 6 goals on 11 shots on goal this season. If you could convert even a third, that's pretty impressive. But 6 from 11 is good. But also, they're surprisingly, just they're lucky. This game they actually won 2-1 with 1 shot on goal. Unless they stat corrected it, they won 2-1 with 1 shot on goal.
Wow. Vegas has.
I think that's the only one I think that's the only game so far this season that's had that happen. I know the last week's the 1-1 Fresno LA draw originally had LA no shots on goal, but they corrected an own goal to an LA goal. So but if you could win with more goals than shots on goal, more power to you. But I'm a little bit nervous of a Las Vegas course correcting at some point here because they can't stay this efficient and they can't get this lucky every single week.
That's true. That's why I'm saying I think if they are good, they're only going to be really good at home. I just don't see them being good on the road.
I could buy that. I mean, they look like the worst team against Fresno and against Swope Park, but they did look like a pretty good team against Reno, so I'm not sure who they're really going to be.
Guys,
they're as Evan put it, they'll be a performance art piece.
It's true.
Some avant-garde bullshit.
They just interpret soccer.
They have found the absurd, and they have faced it, and now they are coming out better than ever before, much like Albert Camus. Guys, speaking of long pieces of, his books weren't really long. Speaking of wordy things that are decently hard to understand, can I read some statements by organizations today? Great. I'm going to. Today started with the MLS Players Association. Evan, it's the USL show. The MLS Players Association released a statement at about 9:30 this morning Eastern Standard Time. It has come to our attention that FC Cincinnati of the USL has attempted to void a valid and enforceable contract with Tom Heinemann, which I think is the first time all year we've ever seen him called Tom, by the way, a veteran player and former MLSPA member. Despite having failed to meet its obligation to conduct a physical examination prior to signing Heinemann, and despite repeated medical assurances regarding his ability to continue to play at the same high level, the club attempted to force Tom to accept a pay cut because of a past knee injury. I believe they wanted to go more incentive-based than what they were previously offering. Don't quote me on that. When these efforts failed, the club then moved to void the contract entirely in clear violation of its terms. We are deeply disappointed by the club's actions. Tom met all of the requirements of the contract he signed with the club regarding the disclosure of previous injuries and access to medical records. He moved his family to Cincinnati and reported for training on time and ready to train. He was compliant with his contractual obligations, healthy, and prepared to perform on the field in 2018 at the same level as he has with significant success over the past few years. Most recently in 2017, I forget what NASL championship season with the San Francisco Deltas. I think that's how you say that.
Correct.
Okay, great. In which he started or appeared in all but 3 matches. Tom appealed the club's actions to the USL. The league office correctly ruled in his favor and ordered FC Cincinnati to perform its obligations under the contract. The club has refused to comply with this order and has taken the matter to a costly and time-consuming formal arbitration, thus forcing Tom to devote even more resources to protect himself from the club's breach of his contract. In the meantime, Tom has been signed and medically cleared to play by Penn FC, which, reminder, he played all 90 minutes this weekend after being signed on a Thursday. So quick turnover, but he did play all 90 minutes and was, by all accounts, walking around and shaking everybody's hand after the match. So, didn't break his leg in that game. At a significantly lower salary than what he is owed by FC Cincinnati, forcing yet another move for his wife and young son. We find the behavior of FC Cincinnati in this instance to be deplorable and well below the standards necessary to succeed in MLS. The club needs to comply with their ruling from USL so that Tom and his young family can move on from their regrettable experience, which actually cuts off. But regardless, yeah, so there was that. A couple things. One, if you want to have a good time and figure out who feels a way about this, look at the likes on that tweet right now. It's a good time. That prompted FC Cincinnati, because, why wouldn't you, to release a statement 7 hours ago at like midday, roughly. And it says, FC Cincinnati is aware of the MLS Players Association statement made regarding Tom Heinemann. We strongly disagree with both the MLSPA and USL's positions and are looking forward to presenting our full case to the neutral American Arbitration Association, or AAA. No, not that one for the cars. That would be weird. As part of the dispute resolution process outlined in the USL standard contract, which begins later this month. We understand that the decision rendered during arbitration will be binding for both parties. So, guys, what this means basically is that we're going to have to go to court to figure this out. Now, a couple things that I'd like to bring to your attention. One, FC Cincinnati did not have a technical director at the time of signing Tom Heinemann. They have now got one, I'm assuming, because this came back and bit them in the ass. And B, this whole thing is really weird because Tom Heinemann was one of their kind of marquee signings in the offseason. So I don't know if they think they have something that we haven't seen yet for the arbitration to decide on. But this just kind of seems unnecessary and really petty. I didn't try to reach out to FC Cincinnati earlier today for comment, and they responded by yelling ticket sales, blowing an air horn 20 times in the phone, and then hanging up before emailing me a coupon for a free Skyline chili at any one of their Cincinnati locations, which I'm flattered.
It was nice.
Thank you. Again, I didn't do that just in case, the club that makes a ton of money and hires a bunch of people. I didn't do that. Don't come after me. If you get mad at me for saying that, you look dumb. So there you go. Have fun. Anyway, I can't wait to be in arbitration for 6 months with FC Cincinnati now. Guys, what's going on here? Is there anything that we haven't seen that might pop up, or is this just kind of FC Cincinnati not wanting to take an L in a playoff again?
To be fair,
yeah,
I actually put my thoughts into a statement, and we posted that. So
yeah, we did. We posted a statement as the USL show because we can also post statements on nice backgrounds with letters and things.
Look what we can do.
Yeah, so
that was fun.
That was a good time. I had a great time releasing a formal statement, as I'm sure the MLS Players Union, who, why are you here? And FC Cincinnati with, why don't you just, wait until you're in arbitration to talk to anybody? Man, this whole thing is dumb. Can we just...
Yeah.
So the only possible out for Cincinnati here, right, is that they did give him a medical before they signed him, and they just didn't show anybody yet. Like, what?
Even if Cincinnati wins in arbitration, I still think they come off looking bad.
They just kind of look like jerks, right?
There's no win for them. I think while they could be technically correct, and technically correct is the best type of correct, but in the end, you're not going to look good to the rest of the league. You're not going to look good to the players in the league. I don't think it could cause too much damage to MLS bid, but it's not a good look for that either. But I just think their move was to say, okay, we lost the first round. We're going to just go away, pay him what he needs to be paid, if that's what the ruling was.
Right.
And go into the season and say, look how good we're doing. They have 2 1-0 wins. They had 3 of those all last year. They should be going, look at us. We could win low-scoring games where defense is good. Not, oh, by the way, we're fighting this guy again. That's negative press when you actually should have positive press from the on-field play. It's just confusing to me that they're doing something that, I mean, best case, they save a little bit of money.
That's one confusing part, is I'm not sure what they gain here. Perhaps maybe they need the money, which I think would be
no. You signed 800 people this offseason.
I know. So that's where I'm most confused, honestly, with all this. Sure, there might be businessmen as a part of their ownership group that just aren't going to stand for something they think they're being cheated out of. And part of me thinks that's what's going on. I'm in the apartment business, and people get ruthless over like silly things. Especially contractual things. People just get upset over this kind of stuff, and they're willing to fight it to the end. And part of it smells like that to me. But I will say that I don't think Cincinnati would seek out arbitration and then make it super public unless they thought they were going to win. So we may not know the details. Obviously, they're not going to share the details with anyone. I went to Cincinnati Soccer Talk and was like, what the hell's going on here? How good are you guys? Can you tell us what the hell's going on? And they were like, no, I mean, no one's telling us anything. And if those guys aren't hearing anything, that probably means no one's hearing anything. So we don't know, but it does seem like perhaps they think they have a possible win here. And I wouldn't put it past them to win in arbitration, which would prove a lot. But again, as Pony alluded to, what do they have to gain?
So the only thing I can think of in terms of why you would do this is, if that relationship between the ownership group, because that's who it is. This isn't the players suing Tommy Heinemann. This isn't the coach suing Tommy Heinemann. It's not the communications people suing, or going to arbitration with Tommy Heinemann. And it's not, it's the ownership group going to arbitration with this player who does in fact have a fan. Not to continuously bring that up, but he's got about 18 other things on his mind every day that he doesn't want to have to deal with arbitration, which is fair. He's still a soccer player. He just signed to a new club. He had to move twice this year. The second time was to Harrisburg. That sucks.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry. That was really easy. I had to take that. I apologize. So either the relationship between Tommy Heinemann and FC Cincinnati, or I guess now we're calling him, the artist formerly known as Tommy Heinemann, now Tom, and FC Cincinnati got so bad that they're like, dude, we're just going to take you to court, which is dumb. Or they really hate losing so much that they're like, we can win an arbitration, let's just do it. And that's really petty. And the gay part of me loves it, but the soccer loving, maybe just do good things on the field part of me just really doesn't like that.
I feel like arbitration is the lawyer room version of penalty kicks in a championship match to decide the winner.
See, but they never got there. So I feel like arbitration is the playoff game against Louisville that you might actually win.
I always like arbitration because it's independent and it's binding. It's my favorite, to be honest. I
love independent and binding things. Yay.
That's not how Phil talks at all, Kev. You need to refine your Phil Grimm's impression. I can't pass you off as Phil next week when he's not here now.
But oh shoot, I lost my train of thought.
You love arbitration because it's independent and binding.
And petty.
I do. Oh, I'm also wondering, something I forgot to mention is perhaps they wanted to win so bad they knew he couldn't afford to wait this
Yeah,
out.
that's kind of what I was getting at, but I didn't want to say that out of respect
No,
for
I
how
mean,
much money he might be making or isn't making.
If these owners are businessmen and they just
And yeah, I mean, FC Cincinnati's owners have millions upon millions upon millions upon millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, and Tommy Heinemann, sorry, the artist formerly known as Tommy Heinemann, doesn't have. I mean, well, to my knowledge, millions upon millions of dollars.
And we saw this in St. Louis. Honestly, we saw a big ownership group versus a small ownership group, and the small ownership group felt like they weren't being listened to and heard, and maybe that was for certain reasons, but they had no alternative but to go public with things, and so sometimes the small guy has to go public to get that public on their side, and then the bigger group wants to keep everything private, and they get angry that everyone went public. They're like, who writes a public letter when all we're trying to do is figure out a contract problem? Sure. So they're probably angry as well. The other thing I kind of wanted to see what you guys thought about was, why is the MLS Players Association involved? Why do you think they stepped in here?
Because all the people that were going to do that for USL are either retired and or the lawyer that was going to start or attempt to start the USL union is now an executive for Lazio, actually, in Italy. So the two guys that were really spearing up, and I forgot one of their names now. Damn it! The two guys that were really spearing up the USL Players Union. Which, hello, if you'd like to talk to us, feel free. Bobby Warshaw was one of them, and I forget the other one off the top of my head. But I know there was two players, and then a lawyer who's now an executive over at Lazio in Italy that were really spearheading a USL Players Union. And obviously with any union that takes time, and it's a professional risk to do that, and things like that. And so now that all those guys that we're going to do that are gone, there's a lot less passion, or there's a lot less of a path to a union. And I think because Heinemann was in MLS at a point, the MLS Players Union wants to step in and kind of almost act like an ACLU, or like the Southern Poverty Law, which is a terrible example, but in the same way that it's a person that they are familiar with and that they care about, who's on a decently hard time or something like that, and they want to help him out, or cynically they want to make FC Cincinnati look bad. So that's why you release a statement on Twitter.
Yeah, I that makes total sense to me, and that's probably exactly what's going on. I mean, I think I discussed earlier today in chat, I was all like, maybe they know something that the public doesn't. Like maybe there's something between MLS and Cincinnati that maybe fans are hoping for or expecting. It's kind of maybe some talks are getting more advanced than they thought, and then the MLS Players Union is all like, but look what they're doing to this player. Let's make a statement, and start stirring the pot or something. That was what I was thinking, but I think your idea makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I think so too. And perhaps we've talked about how USL, if they had their own players union, how much power they'd even have.
Hey,
they
guys, start a union.
Well,
just do it. Just start a union.
My point I was about to make was that MLS, if they have the MLS union on their side, giving them more clout, then perhaps, if things got bad enough, they could shut down 2 tiers of soccer in the United States right now. So that's like the reason. I mean, I'm saying this is like worst case scenario.
Sure.
But what USL Players Association is going to have enough money and backing to make any difference in the USL? That's the only reason I think it hasn't happened yet. But if they combine their efforts with MLS Association, MLS realizes, man, these guys need our help. They could, get better, and we can make it happen. I think that's the only way they could have any legitimate power in these sort of situations in the future.
I don't think it's going to be a direct, hey, the MLS Players Union is now like the North American soccer play. Like, it's never going to be a joint thing.
No.
But I do think that
way on a per diem basis if they have to.
Right. And then I do think, if there is a couple of guys in USL right now that want to unionize and, are either looking for a free platform to voice their opinions, either anonymously or not, wink, wink. Or, there's a roadmap there for establishing a players union within a professional soccer league in the United States, and it's through the MLS players union. So, obviously, in the short term, I hope this all works out for everybody and that arbitration. I honestly, in a way, hope that arbitration doesn't find anything that we didn't already know about.
Yeah, me too.
Because I don't care. Like, I don't want to care about this anymore.
I want to tell one story before we go, if I can.
Please.
I have a business professor that was awesome. He was in this giant corporation as the head HR guy for lots and lots of years, and he retired and became a professor. I took a class from him, luckily, and the guy talked about how his only job with this big corporation was to make sure that workers didn't unionize. And that sounds evil, but give me a second here. He would go to these factories all around the country and make sure everyone was happy, okay? Because a happy worker doesn't want to unionize. They don't need to unionize for that matter. And so he'd go around to all these weird factory bosses, which we all have those bosses that for some reason want to give everybody nothing and they want to penny pinch and they want to be jerks for no apparent reason. Maybe they think they're going to make their bosses happy by doing this. And he goes to these people and says, why haven't you given these people fans and air conditioning repairs when they've been requesting it for months? What is wrong with you? So we go around and make sure everyone's being treated well, so well that they don't even want to unionize. And what people don't realize, this is for USL front office perhaps, and anyone going into business, what people don't realize is it's cheaper to treat your people right and give them a happy work environment than it is to deal with a union year in, year out. So USL, perhaps that's why they've been taking the player's side. Maybe they want to keep that relationship good. But, perhaps Jake Edwards and the rest of the front office in USL, if you keep backing these players and make them feel like they're not being cheated, perhaps they won't need to unionize in the near future because they're talking about it right now. So, maybe nip this one in the butt. Who knows?
We'll do this. We'll get out of here because we're not terribly over, but we're over for where I like to be. If any of you guys have any final thoughts, stick them before your plug. So, Pony, I'll start with you.
Okay, I'd like to do one more final shout out to Christian Duke, the Orange County player who over the weekend had some remarkably petty, but I found very interesting likes on tweets saying that on the chain of we're talking about how Orange County is good. Then someone said maybe Tulsa's just bad, and Christian Duke liked that. So I found that very, very petty. If you're listening,
hey, Christian,
because I laughed for
I'm not
a long
saying
time.
that we're a welcoming and free platform for you to voice your opinion, but we are a welcoming and free platform for you to voice your opinion, and our DMs are open.
Yes, I would. I enjoyed that very, very much when I saw that pop
follow
up.
us. That's what that means.
What just happened is Christian Duke was like, "Oh, people saw that I can like things. That's not good."
Yeah, like your mom on Twitter or whatever. Christian Duke is your mom on Twitter. Christian, that's what I'm going to call you from here on out. I'm sorry.
We just taught Christian something about the internet.
Yeah. Someone sit him down. Internet 101 with Christian Duke. New weekly segment. Pony, where can people find you on Twitter and the like?
On Twitter, I, as always, am at Iron Pony Chef. I also write some for Blurbs and Domina, and you can find me there. And Ryan, who's absent this week as well.
Yeah, our international correspondent is busy with his family or something. I don't know. It's weird.
Family.
What are those?
I thought he was
not the meme about the shoes either. I'm asking. Phil, where can people find you on the Twitters and other things?
SDL Soccer Report and Phil Grooms, 2 L's, 2 O's. Thanks for listening to my rants. I apologize for the length.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I mean, it's important. Hopefully it won't happen again this year. So this will be kind of like your be all end all. How does the USL show feel about arbitration kind of podcast? Kev, where can people find you on the Twitters and other things?
Oh, I'm on Twitter at KMcCamishPDX. I'm at PTK Podcast. Sometimes you can even find me at Stumptown Footy. If I'm doing T2 matches and stuff, or even sometimes Timbers matches. You can find me at stumptownfooty.com, playthekids.com, and also bgn.fm.
Hey, look at that. If for whatever reason you would like to hear more of me and or read more of my words or other things, or if you just want to, talk about non-soccer related things, I don't really mind. At Villela Vias Victor, ILLELLA BSFC, like the team that I cover, Bethlehem Steel Football Club. Or at Brotherly Game, brotherlygame.com, which is the sister site of Stumptown Footy, as well as Blurbs Indomita. And if you want to learn more about this show or more of our ilk, the USLshow.com, which also has all of our archives, if you want to give those a listen and figure out who we are a little better or a little worse, depending. Where else can you find? The Twitter. The Twitter. There's too many of you. There's like almost 1,200 of you now, which is insane. That's really cool. So thank you. Invite your friends. Christian Duke, feel free to follow us. At the USL Show is where you're going to do that. Also patreon.com/the USL Show. But until next week, for Kevin McCamish, for Pony, for Phil Grooms, for Ryan Allen, who's not here, and for the host and bevy of soccer friends that have been on this podcast, it's Evan Villela. We'll talk to you guys next week. Definitely let us know how you're feeling after this episode comes out. We'll talk to you guys soon. Cool.
Good one.
Good job, everybody. We did it, and it only lasted about an hour and 15 minutes, which I think is a net positive. So that's good.
that's pretty good. So before you guys go, I got some questions for you guys going into week 4. I need some help on some picks.
Okay.
So with Colorado Springs and RGV, I know that Colorado Springs is a very good defensive team,